thing that I want to do before I get into anything that I had is obviously ask you guys if y'all have any questions.
Hey, Kendra, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I still have to do my one-on-one with you.
Mhm.
What's a good time and like days that we
So
can do it?
you should have received a one-on-one email. If you didn't, shoot me an email and let me know. You should have received an email. And then what happens is you click on that link and it'll show you my calendar availability for the next 7 days. And then I'm open any of those open times. And then you pick the time that works for you. And I will either do a Zoom with you, or if you prefer a phone call, I'll do a phone call with you. I prefer the Zoom because then I actually record your Zoom and I can send you that Zoom video that you can have. But I know some folks aren't a fan of Zoom or whatever. I can also just give you a phone call, but you'll get all of those options when you use that link in your email. So if you did not get it, or if you can't locate it, shoot me an email. My assistant or I will resend you out the email letting you know how to schedule it. So, what I am planning on doing in this Q&A, even though y'all know I don't technically teach notary law or notary training, I am going to go over for the bulk of this Q&A the basics of notarization. But y'all know me, I always have to give my disclaimer. Notary law is different in every state. So, while I'm going to be giving you the basics, make sure that you double check your state's notary law for everything. Because, what I don't want to happen is for you to do something thinking that it's correct and it be incorrect. But again, I'm going to try to keep it very general and, and let you know any areas where, hey, this may be different in your state. This may be different in your state. And I'm also going to give you links, again, different places where you can check your notary law. But before I do that, even though these questions were posted in the group, I did want to, the last few questions that we had in the group, I did just want to go over with you guys in this Q&A because as usual, you guys asked fantastic questions. So one of the most recent questions that we had, somebody was saying that they want to start signing up with signing services, but they weren't sure if they should sign up with their LLC or just use their name with a personal EIN. So, couple of things here. If you already have an LLC, like if you do something else and you already had an LLC set up and you want to use that LLC as well for your signing agent business, again, talk to your tax professional, but that should be fine. However, there's no bonus. You don't get extra, people don't think you're extra official because you have an LLC or because your business is set up as an LLC. That doesn't make people go, oh, I'm going to send them business because they have an LLC. It doesn't make any difference to them because again, these companies know that we're all individual contract notaries. So they're not going to think you're some big fancy business and send you business just because you have an LLC. And if you do not already have an LLC, again, talk to your tax professional before you set up an LLC. You probably don't need it. I ran my signing agent business for many, many years as a sole proprietor. And part of the reason why I say don't rush to get an LLC is one, it costs money. Who wants to spend, $200, $300, $400, depending on what state you're in, to get an LLC? And then number two, you have to do additional periodic reporting. I actually just had to do because my mom has an LLC, which she doesn't use. And I keep up with the reporting for her LLC. And then I had to do the reporting for my LLC. And it's a pain. There's things I have to go in like quarterly with my state and do a couple of different reports for them. And if I forget to go in and do those reports, there's like a $50 late fee. So I'm not even gonna tell y'all how much I paid in late fees because I just be forgetting to do these reports. So, LLCs are not magic. You don't get brownie points or extra points for having an LLC, and an LLC is extra work. So if your tax professional says, hey, it will be advantageous for you tax-wise to have an LLC. Yes, absolutely set one up. But if you don't have one, you don't need one. I would say you can set yourself up as a sole proprietorship. That's usually something that you can do with your county. Get yourself an EIN, an employer ID number. You definitely want to do that because you don't want to be giving 50,000 random companies your social security number. And then that's really all you need, guys. And you can rock and roll just fine with just those items. And then when you start making the super big bucks and your accountant says, we need to change this around to save you some money on taxes, then get that LLC. Before we go on, there was a question that I missed. Would I suggest that we obtain a DBA? Yes. DBA, sole proprietorship, doing business as, they're pretty much all the same thing. Yes, I would suggest getting that. There's nothing wrong with getting that. You don't have the same reporting requirements that you have, but then set yourself up a separate business account using that DBA, using that sole proprietorship name. Because one thing you definitely do want to do is separate your business money from your personal money. Again, that was a big mistake that I made. I was intermingling personal money, business money, and then my accountant was like, girl, I'm gonna need you to stop. So have a separate business account, deposit all of your business income into that account, pay your business expenses. If you're getting office supplies, if your accountant is saying that you can count out your internet or your cell phone bill, pay those things from out of your business account. Again, this is where having a tax professional is so important because they'll let you know what to do. But definitely, yes, set up a DBA, set up your business account, get your EIN, and you're good. And then later on, you can switch to an LLC. All right. And then another great question that was asked is, how do you pursue title agencies that you had prior connections with because of agency assignments? And I'm assuming they meant signing company assignments, without compromising those relationships. Basically, if you get an assignment through a signing company to do a signing for a title company, how do you market to that title company without making the signing company mad? Technically, there's no way to do that. Technically, and according to the signing professionals work group, those rules and all that good stuff, technically you should not do that. They tell us specifically not to market to the signing company's clients. However, that is not a law. And the signing professionals work group stuff, it was really set up to protect signing companies. It was not set up to protect the signing agents. So at some point, you kind of just have to make a judgment call. And I gave the example that one of the title companies that I currently work with now, one of my direct business title company clients, the very first signings that I did for them was through a signing company. The signing company, they contacted the signing company, said they needed somebody in their office to do some signings for them one day. I went to their office and did their signings. They were like, you're amazing. We want to request you. So I was like, yeah, cool. And again, I was kind of new like you guys. And I was like, I don't want to make the signing company mad. So I was like, yeah, just tell the signing company that you want to request me. And so for a little while, they did it that way. They would contact the signing company and tell the signing company, hey, we want Kendra if she's available. Well, sometimes I wasn't available. And the other great thing about working with direct clients is they're sometimes willing, if they like you, they're sometimes willing to change the schedule a little bit to accommodate you. So they contacted me and said, hey, we sent a couple of deals to the signing company, but they said you weren't available. And I was like, yeah, I remember seeing those. I was like, if it had been like a half an hour earlier or a half an hour later, I could have done it. And they're like, well, if you work with us directly, we can probably work that out. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And, they started sending me direct business. So here's the deal. This business, those signing companies ain't worried about y'all. So I'm not saying to just go out and flaunt it and, every title office that you happen to get in contact with that you do a signing for through a signing company. I'm not saying rush off and contact those escrow officers and try to get them to send you direct business. You don't want that. But if they happen to say to you, we like you, we want to use you, I don't see that as us pursuing them. I see that as they asked me a question and I answered it. But you kind of have to make that judgment call. And like I said, I always think about it like this. The signing company don't care about me. If I'm not available, they move on to the next signing agent without a second thought, because this is business. If a title company says they like me and they want to use me, I'm not going to tell them no. If they ask me for my direct phone number, I'm going to give it to them. If they ask me, hey, can we contact you directly? Yes, you absolutely may. Here's my information. So, and you do run a little risk. If the signing company hears about it, they're not going to be happy, or they may not be happy. And you might, it's a small risk, you might lose their business. But I'm also going to say this. I've had signing companies be super mad at me about stuff, big mad about things. I've had them tell me, we are never going to use you again. And then they have a signing that they really need covered. And they still call, because this is business. If they need you, they will call you. And they need us more than we need them. So don't let that fear of, oh my gosh, the signing company's never going to use me again. Whatever. 9 times out of 10, that's just an idle threat, number one. And then number two, some companies, if it's like that, it's worth the risk. I've made more money working with that title company directly than this signing company could have ever sent me. When the pandemic first hit, with this particular title company, their home office basically said, escrow officers don't risk your life. Hire a signing agent and let them risk their life. And I was willing, for the right amount of money, to risk my life. And I was literally doing 5, 6, 7, 8 signings in their office, no printing, at a minimum of $150 each. You guys do the math. For over a month, I want to say for 6 weeks, I did that for them. So y'all do the math. I don't care how mad that signing company would have got. It was worth doing it. So that is the answer to that question. So yeah, bottom line, go and get that direct business. That's what I'm saying. Get it. Is there a down season for signing agents? So yes and no. I've got a couple of videos on my YouTube channel. One of them is why is signing agent business slow? And the other one is what to do when signing agent business is slow. So watch those videos when you get a chance. But is there a down season? Sometimes. And it's hard to tell. Historically, with real estate, things are busiest in the spring and the summer, because summertime, people got time, kids are off from school. If they're buying a house, it's a great time for folks to move. Real estate tends to be busier in the spring and the summer, but stuff happens year round. People, buy, sell, and refinance year round. I do find it slower, like in January, February tends to be a little bit slower. And then beginning of the month tends to be slower. So the last week, especially the last day for refis and the last day of the month, tend to be busier because, of course, everybody's trying to get their transactions done. And then because there was such a mad rush to get everything done by the end of the month, the beginning of the month tends to be slower. Your first year, every time it gets slow, you're going to freak out. But just know it's not you. And sometimes it just gets slow for no reason at a random time. Sometimes it'll be the end of the month and I'm like, all right, I'm geared up, I'm ready, it's going to be super busy, and then it's not. And I'm like, okay. So, in general, spring and summer are busy, fall and winter are not as busy. In general, the end of the month is busy. In general, the beginning of the month is not busy or is not as busy. But again, with COVID and the pandemic, this past year has been really, really weird. It hasn't really kind of gone along the same lines. Right now, there's a lot of buying and selling going on. And, the market, it's a seller's market right now. So I'm meeting with a lot of sellers, more sellers than I normally would. It just kind of fluctuates. But the biggest thing is normally, one, you haven't done anything wrong. It's nothing, you didn't break anything. And it will pick back up again. And usually it's right when I go, oh my gosh, why is it slow? And I kind of realize, oh, it's gotten slow. What's going on? That I will see it pick back up. And then once you go through your first year, then you can kind of look back, like, if you were doing this last year and you look at, like, what month of this, you look at May of last year, that'll also kind of help you get a feel for what's going to happen throughout the year and throughout the months. Is SnapDocs considered a signing agent? SnapDocs as a mobile loan signing agent, is it recommended to purchase a vehicle to be used specifically for the business? Y'all balling. Notary certificates, because again, we are notaries, and it is very, very important, obviously, for us to fill our notary certificates out properly, completely, legally for our state. And it can kind of throw you off when you see a certificate that is not one that you're used to seeing.